Welcome back to ESA Summer 21. We are raising money for Save the Children. Links to donate can be found below the stream. We would also like to thank Twitch and ViewSonic for sponsoring this event. Now, it's time for LordFluffy running Titanfall 2, all helmets on PC. Take it away.
Alright, so welcome everybody back to ESA. My name is LordFluffy, and Titanfall 2, you may have seen some speedruns by this game before. One of the highest skill cap, most fluid, entertaining speedruns out there. We're doing all helmets today. All helmets is effectively the 100% category. While Titanfall 2 is a very linear speedrun, there are some little goodies that you can collect, these helmets that are just strewn out throughout each of the maps for the most part. This speedrun is very difficult, however, so there are some points where I'm going to need to focus up and not really have a chance to talk. With that being said, I have a wonderful co-commentator here, the wonderful cutie Ryanado.
Hi, Fluffy. Thanks for having me. Yeah, we're in for a treat today. I believe this is the first ever showing of all helmets at a marathon. This category is my baby. Both S Deception and I put a lot of work into routing this category back during its inception, so it's really cool to see it here on this stage. We got 46 helmets to collect along the way, so Fluffy, best of luck with that. Thanks again for having me.
All right. So, first things first, we got to start up a new game because this will reset all the helmet locations, which is a required thing to start with. There's a cutscene here, but we don't need to watch it. It's not part of the run. And I will count us down when the load screen appears. Time will start when I press space to continue. So, I will let Bri take it away. 3, 2, 1, go.
Cool. Welcome, folks. So yeah, here we are. This is Titanfall 2. It's a sci-fi military first-person shooter that was developed by Respawn Entertainment. You probably know them for their work on Apex by this point. This was also the team that made pretty much all the Call of Duties up until Modern Warfare 2 before they split off into their own studio. So, you know, all the good CODs. But yeah, so this is a movement-based first-person shooter first and foremost. It runs on a modified version of the Source engine. So if you're familiar with Source runs, you're going to notice a lot of familiarities at the beginning, and we're going to be introduced to our most important type of movement tech right at the start here. So anytime we cross a certain speed threshold and we press crouch, we'll get a slide boost. And once we get that slide boost right there, we can jump and then preserve that momentum. So we're going to be sliding, jumping, and that is known as slide hopping. This is going to allow us to gain speed when paired with air strafing, which we'll cover in a second, and generally just preserve our momentum as we go. It's very, very important in Titanfall 2 to preserve our momentum. We also have a full suite of parkour mechanics, which again, we'll cover in a second. But first, let's talk about air strafing, which is kind of like the other really big thing here. So to put it in very simple layman's terms, since air strafing is very complicated from like a mathematical perspective, air strafing is based around the philosophy that we're going to move faster and go farther by pressing left or right as we're going through the air and moving our camera in an arc. So if you have the input overlay to reference in the bottom right corner, you'll notice that anytime that Fluffy is moving through the air, they're usually pressing left or right on the keyboard rather than holding W, because if we're holding W, then we have a speed cap. So by subverting the speed cap, by not holding W, we go faster. We're also right now at this part of the game in the gauntlet. This is just the training segment of the game, just teaching us how some of the movement mechanics work. We did pick up a hidden EPG, which is essentially a rocket launcher, which we're using to damage boost us. We also have some grenades, which we're going to use to damage boost as well. Now, this first helmet can be a little bit complicated because it's it's up pretty high, and when you do these damage boosts, at least with the grenade, it wants to push you down. So getting up here can be a little bit of a challenge. Fortunately, we got it. That is the first helmet, and there will be many more to come after that. So these damage boosts throughout the rest of the run are going to look a little bit different. In the gauntlet, we can't die, so we're just able to just shoot a grenade or shoot a rocket launcher at our feet over and over and be fine. But when it comes to the rest of the run, we're going to have to be a lot more careful. So yeah.
All right, so that's the first basic level of the stage is done at this point. All that's more or less left is some dialogue and a few buttons to press here or there. But as Ryanado mentioned, there is a input viewer in the bottom right of the screen. I asked specifically for this because Titanfall 2's movement can be very unorthodox. So when we're explaining a movement mechanic, it's often good to reference the input display if you can to see visually what we're doing. And we're just going to hit a button here, try and go for a funny glitch. So if I hop on this little indicator here at the right time...
Like you had to have gotten it with that.
Yeah, so as you can see...
You thought this was Titanfall?
He's in the ground!
Slide. Titan
He's
drill.
in the ground! Oh my goodness. So yeah, that little funny glitch is if you hop on top of that indicator like at the right time, instead of falling from straight up and down like it's supposed to, it'll come in on an angle. And I got a really good one. He was straight underground. That doesn't save any time. It's just a funny glitch, but that's what we're here for, the swag. So that's basically the end of the stage here. The only thing I'm going to have to do at the end here is mash the spacebar at the right time, which will menu through the menus quickly, but also if I'm fast enough, it'll select the easy difficulty for me, which is the difficulty we run on.
Yeah, and you've probably noticed at this point too that the game is not in English. We are playing in Mandarin specifically. Mandarin saves a very substantial amount of time over English, 38 seconds to be exact, just through dialogue. Not through text boxes, but through spoken dialogue. Generally, anytime there is spoken dialogue without like animations attached to it, we're going to be saving time. Through a lot of these opening cutscenes, like right here, we're not saving a ton just because there's still scripted animations that have to play out. But that will come to play, especially in some later levels. A little lore dump real quick. We're playing as Rifleman Jack Cooper. He's our just kind of generic protagonist here, fighting for the militia, which is a rebellious military force that is fighting back against the IMC, or Interstellar Manufacturing Corporation. There's big kind of hyper-capitalist corporate military conglomerate that goes from planet to planet in the region of space known as the Frontier. They drive people from their homes, take their resources, and so we're the group of folks that are fighting back against that. As we look at this set piece here, we are crash landing on the planet of Typhon, which was home to a IMC research facility that the militia wanted to try and research and disrupt. So we came in and they had a ton of anti-orbital defenses, and now we're getting shot down behind enemy lines. You can actually see the very end of the game, that little kind of structure in the background there. That's where we're going to be in about an hour and a half's time, with 46 helmets in our pocket.
All right. So we're coming up here to a little bit of a gameplay section. This is not very long. It's only about 10 seconds, but it's a little bit interesting because we don't have the pilot movement we had in the Gauntlet. We don't have any double jumps or wall kicks or anything like that. We do, however, still have slide jumps and air strafing. So at the start here, I'm going to be getting into a slide and trying to carry all that momentum overway to a trigger. There is a possibility that this could mess up and I might be hit by a falling piece of debris. It's unlikely, but it would be embarrassing to be the first person to have that happen in the marathon, so we're going to go and try to avoid that.
This is kind of like the vibe check at the start of a marathon run, because like when you're doing this just on your own, it's pretty simple to avoid this, but when you're at a marathon, you're always like, oh god, I don't want to be the one it happens to, and Fluffy's going to get by just fine. If you go, you can hear it crash landing behind us. If you go just a little bit slow there, you will end up dying to that, and it's like a 15-second checkpoint revert, so it's pretty brutal. But we made it through just fine. The hard/easy part is over, and now we're on to the first cutscene, really big cutscene of the game. This is the infamous 18-hour cutscene. This is going to introduce us to Lastimosa, who is just training us back there, and a lot of the enemies that we'll fight throughout the run, known as the Apex Predators. We actually have kind of a convenience thing in our speedrun community known as the BT cutscene bypass, where we have an automated file that a save file that loads right here. The time is re-injected into the timer and everything, kind of like what other communities have done, like for Super Mario Sunshine or Portal 2. You think of it that way, but for a marathon setting, it obviously makes a lot more sense just to play the game in like its purest state. And these cutscenes do give us a lot of time to, lore dump or talk about mechanics or anything like that.
Yeah, so speaking of mechanics, I'm going to go over probably one of the most important ones because of another thing that comes up, and that is lurch. So in this game, whenever you jump on mouse and keyboard, if you jump within and press a directional key within 0.5 seconds of jumping, you will lurch slightly in that direction. This has its benefits and its downsides. The benefit is mostly that lurching in a direction like that can allow you to take corners tighter or readjust yourself to get through something you would have otherwise not been able to. But the downside is that every time you lurch, it slows you down. This lurch mechanic is also present in Apex Legends, which leads us into talking about the next thing, which is tap strafing, which you might have heard of. So tap strafing is when you're holding a strafe key, jump, and then press the W key, you will lurch in a 45-degree angle in the direction you're holding. This allows you to take corners much tighter than you would otherwise, and is especially useful in the level Blood and Rust. There is no way to bind things to scroll wheel in this game, so it's not super abusable like it is in Apex Legends currently. But regardless, it is still an incredibly helpful tool for the tight corridors, and it also leads into one of the biggest variances things between controller and mouse and keyboard in the sense that controllers don't actually have lurch. And it is a difference between the game registering digital inputs and analog inputs. And now that we have woken up from a little nap, basically the lore dump at this point is that we've all crash landed, as you can see. Lastimosa got destroyed by the Apex Predators, but this robot here, BT, the Titan, he seems to be alive, and what's going on? Oh, he's alive. Now he's not. So Lastimosa here is going to have his last of moments, and that is a joke from Bri. You can thank him.
That is my joke. That is my joke.
I have stolen your joke. You're welcome.
You can PayPal me after.
Yeah, I got it, dude.
The best part about the Mandarin dialogue here is that there's actually no recorded line for the last thing Lastimosa says. So he'll just kind of mouth some words, no audible dialogue, and even the dialogue box at the very top is just blank. A very very odd quirk of playing in Mandarin. Oh wait, no, I guess we're in English. If we have English subtitles,
yeah, for the map from the task menu mod.
Gotcha. Right. So pretty much once we put the helmet back on, we are done waiting through cutscenes, and the run is ready to go. Lastimosa died and gave us control of his Titan, BT right there, and his pilot gear, which is going to facilitate all of our advanced movement tech. So what we're going to be doing right off the bat is jumping backwards twice and grabbing the wall. This is going to help us reach that minimum speed threshold we need to get a slide boost, and then we will start our slide hops. This section of the game is extremely difficult because we only have one jump right now. Our jump kit, within the lore of the game, is still calibrating, quote unquote, so we're only going to have one jump, and eventually we'll get access to our second one. Now, obviously, you've noticed at this point that we can run on walls, we have some parkour options. There's the first helmet, that one's pretty much a gimme. It just lets the player know, hey, there are helmets in this game. You've obviously noticed that we have parkour options, and so the way that we interact with the wall in this game, there are a lot of different ways to do it, but the main one that you'll notice a lot of the time, especially at the beginning here, is pretty straightforward, which is known as a wall kick. So anytime we approach a wall, we want to be jumping off it as fast as possible, unless, of course, the route dictates otherwise. When we jump off a wall pretty much as fast as we can, we're going to get a speed boost from it, and that is known as a wall kick. So Titanfall 2 runs at a native 60 ticks per second, ticks being the amount of times the game updates in a second's time. So if we jump off the wall within 5 ticks of pressing it, then we will get a speed boost dependent on how fast we did the wall kick input. So you'll be looking out for those a lot. They're always going to give a speed assuming we hit them. They're really important, for building speed from zero, which is kind of what Titanfall is all about, and also preserving our momentum, which is, of course, what Titanfall is all about. So here we go. We get our double jump right here, fortunately, navigating through those prowlers. And this line right here is kind of like a B-hop string where we have to hit all these wall kicks in a row. If you get just slightly off your line like that, it can be a little bit punishing, but that was navigated pretty well. It can definitely go a lot worse than that. And here we come up on the first battery, one of 2 that we need to restore BT back to full strength.
All right, good start. I'm feeling good on that. So coming up here is a little trick known as a slant boost. So with certain slants in this game, you can actually hit them when falling to transfer all your vertical momentum to horizontal momentum. So if I hit this at the right spot here, yep, just like that, you see all the momentum I had that I was falling with, I now have forward momentum, which allows me to clear this gap, and now I can come over, pull this grenade, toss it at these guys, kill them all instantly, and insert the battery in one smooth motion. Not quite, it didn't go quite perfectly, but that still ended up doing very good, so. All right.
And here's River Jump right here. This is a short little skip, only going to save around 10 seconds, found by S Deception. Just saves a little bit of movement for us. And then coming up, we'll have the first frag boost that occurs outside of the gauntlet. This one, of course, incurs a lot more risk than the gauntlet because that can kill us. But we got a decent boost, and we're going to clear the gap without having to touch the wall, which is the main goal there. And now we come into Ravine. This segment right here is probably one of the highest skill cap segments in the entire game. It really depends a lot on your airstrafe proficiency and your wall kicks. Fluffy is navigating through here, not missing any wall kicks, which is the really important part, and we got the nice line to get across those 2 rocks there. Just going to take a slight detour just for a little bit of safety to get over here, and we'll approach encampment, which is another really nasty section with a lot of weird janky geometry and a lot of enemies dispersed through here. So we're going to cloak for safety, come along to the wall on the right here, and we're good to go. So considering that that's one of the hardest parts of the game, that was really, really nicely done. Well done, Fluffy.
Whew, thank you. All right, so Now that we're inside the ship, that's basically most of the hard sections of BT done at this point. There's one additional hard section at the end of this, but more or less the goal here is to get over to that second battery. So I'm going to do a specific set of jumps here. Oh, didn't quite get it, but if I do a specific set of jumps perfectly right there, I can actually slide into this vent, which the fastest way to get through, by the way, is just smashing the space bar and holding forward. And now we pick up this battery, and coming up next is another slant boost. There is a helmet that I need to get here. Hopefully I can get this right. Nope. Unfortunately, I did not get the speed that I wanted, but there is a relatively quick backup here.
Yeah. Oh, that is so... And that perfectly highlights, I was going to talk about this later, but we'll talk about it now, how tight the hitboxes for these helmets are. And, like, seriously, these helmet hitboxes are, like, pixel perfect, and there's, like, a little bit of RNG with how they rotate as well, like, the slightest amount. And Fluffy must have missed that by, I mean, just, like, an inch. It's so silly. They did a really, really nice maneuver there to try and grab it and do an instant tap strafe, but just the helmet was like, yeah, I know you're at a marathon, so I'm not going to give that to you. Very nice clear there. Those grenade placements to kill those enemies are very precise, and you have to clear the enemies to start this animation right here. So overall, aside from that like one slip up, a solid BT, considering that this level is one of the most difficult levels in the whole game.
Alright, so with that being said, we're now coming into a small cutscene here, and I'm going to use this time to explain what is going to happen. So, at this point, the Titan is trying to set a neural link with the pilot, Jack Cooper. This is because when a Titan is neural linked to a pilot, they become a deadly machine when they are linked like this and the pilot is embarked. The Titan has 3 protocols. Protocol 1, link to pilot, like we said. Protocol 2, uphold the mission. At no point in time should your actions be in a way that does not benefit finishing the mission. And then Protocol 3, protect the pilot. If your pilot is in danger, please protect him. That whole idea. So, with that being said, as we are talking and explaining these protocols, a whole bunch of specters are going to pop up on top of us. So, we're going to have to do a little bit of a section here called Titan Tutorial. In order to take these guys out, I'm going to go for a slightly riskier strat that is faster, but can lose more time. So I'm going to kill this entire first wave, and then I'm going to hopefully kill the 4 on the left side here. Okay, they're all dead. And we're going to pick up some more guns from these guys, kill all 4 of these guys down here, wait a little bit to get more charge, and then kill those 2 guys, and perfect, just like that.
Save in a couple seconds.
Yeah, so what that ends up doing is it ends up progressing the game forward a couple seconds faster than what it would do otherwise. And now it's just a couple of more scripted reflex and then missile launches here to kill the enemies in the most efficient way possible, and then progress onward. So as long as there's only one enemy left here, the game will go on to the next part, which is a brute fight, brute is a Titan, specific type of Titan. So I'm going to try and do a strat called No You, which involves shooting a bunch of bullets into his vortex shield, and then using my own vortex shield to reflect them back.
So okay. The Brute's going to try and No You us, but we're gonna double No You the Brute. Oh, and the Brute missed! We're a stationary target sitting here, and the Brute couldn't even hit us. I guess that's the downside of playing on the easy difficulty, is that sometimes you can't even hit a giant mech that is standing still. Now we just have to wait for BT to stop talking, so we get a waypoint here, and we'll be able to end the mission. Have to wait for BT to set that waypoint there, otherwise you have to run to the other side of the arena, and it takes a long time.
Alright, so in all helmets, the first 2 stages are relatively similar to any %, but when we get into this stage here, Blood and Rust, you start to see the major differences that the routing of all helmets entails from any %. And this is where the run really starts to get interesting. So yeah, this is also a good time to explain Titan movement. So Titans are treated like giant pilots in this game, so they still have access to the ability to airstrafe, but they don't have any of the jumps or wall kicks or anything like that. So instead, we make use of Titan dashes. As you can see, the meter at the bottom is constantly recharging. So typically, we want to be always having that meter on cooldown and always dashing from high ground to low ground. And if we can manage, riding on top of enemies like I did there with that tone, that's called Tone Slide, which allows us to preserve the momentum from the dash as quickly as possible. So now, there's a helmet up here. I wanted to get what was known as a disembark jump to get the height I needed, but thankfully I was still able to back it up with a double jump. And now we're... Now we're going to, like, this is where the routing really starts to differ from any percent. So there is an early disembark strat that high-level runners go for in any percent, but most runners just say, you know, stay into BT till a bit later, but we're basically required to disembark from BT at that point anyway, so we might as well do the type of movement we need for the early disembark. But then we got to come over here, do these wall jumps to get on this little pipe, and now we pick up that helmet. So now that we've got those two helmets, we continue on the stage as normal. Ooh, no, I'm just going to take the wall jump there.
That's safe.
And boom, just like that, we hit that button, and that is the first section done. So I'm going to wait for an audio cue here, and then Brian's going to take over commentary as I focus, because this stage is hard.
Yeah, so while BT was difficult because of the geometry, this level is just a ton of tight corridors. And if you remembered Fluffy explaining earlier, we talked a bit about tap strafing. That was a while ago, so I'll give you a quick little rundown on it again. In Titanfall 2, we can't do air strafing super fast, like we can't turn our camera at a high speed without losing a lot of speed. However, if we tap W while we're strafing, we'll actually end up lurching in like a 45-degree angle, and we can stack those lurches multiple times. So if we're strafing and then we tap W multiple times, it allows us to take some very sharp corners with very minimal speed loss by comparison. And so here's the next helmet right here. This is the third of 6 on this short little level here. This one's just a bit of a slight detour, and we'll be making use of some tap strafing. You'll see it on display here as we come around the corner. These little 90-degree turns are all thanks to tap strafes. And again, you can reference the input display in the bottom right corner to get a better idea of what we're talking about here. This last half of the level is definitely, I would say, the really, really hard one. So this helmet coming up on the very left side here is in a very inconvenient location. It's surrounded by some pipes, and pipes are just the worst thing in Titanfall 2, just due to their geometry and the way that the game reads mantles and everything like that. So we're going to try and get a slide boost off here and not die in the sledge. That was so scary. Barely survived.
It's okay, I'm fine.
Fluffy's a lot more calm than me, and they're the one playing. So now we come through grunt hallways. This segment is named because there is, you know, a lot of grunts through here. This section could be a little bit random. We have to use our EVA 8 shotgun, which is our automatic shotgun, to fortunately navigate our way all the way through. And then helmet 5 is kind of a tonal shift for the run here. It's going to be a big vertical climb, and then we're going to grab another EPG finally, which this is kind of what gives this category some of its character. This rocket launcher we're going to be using to boost ourselves. However, this is not the multiplayer EPG, as we'll see later. Quick bump launch here. By holding crouch and mashing jump, we'll cover massive vertical height. That's really the only place it's used in the whole run, and it's cool to see it right there. And now we're coming up on Sludge Skip. This is the game's first massive sequence break. So you see BT standing behind the fence there. We're going to be purposely choosing dialogue options at the bottom of the screen to make sure that he stays talking and stays there. This is kind of the first part of the game where we're on an artificial timer that the game is running, not that we're running. So we want to choose the next dialogue option that is just long enough to get him to stay there, but we also need him to finish talking right when we get to him. So it's this quick little balancing act of trying to get him to stop talking right when we need him to, but talk for long enough so we can just get to the fence and disembark through it. That was Sludge Skip. It saves like 6 seconds. Well managed, Fluffy.
All right, so coming up real
6
quick.
minutes. 6 minutes, excuse me.
6 minutes is really good. So real quick, I just want to explain the tone loadout here. So the tone loadout, whenever you hit an enemy, you lock onto them. When you get 3 locks, you can fire a missile barrage at them. You can stack this to stack as many missile barrages as you want. And now I get to do just something fun that I love to do in my stream. You were not invited to Kane's party, and that's why you're dead. Well, another runaway hero with an SRS Vanguard class Titan. Woo! Now we're talking. Bringing a knife to a knife fight. So we're going to take advantage of the lock-on mechanic here. So as you can see, I'm going to get a lock-on Kane, lock-on on this Brute, and that'll fire double the missile barrage into the Brute and kill it instantly. What I just did there is something known as a swap reload. By swapping to one loadout and swapping back to the one you were just on, you can actually reload your gun faster than watching the animation in real time. And
nice
wow,
fight.
That Kane fight was super solid.
It was really, really good. Yeah, just to sidetrack just a little bit here, we can pick up multiple Titan loadouts throughout the game. You'll find that there'll be little highlighted weapons on the ground that we'll be running over, and there will be like an on-screen display saying, Scorch loadout acquired. These are various different kind of classes of Titans that we'll be picking up, and we can swap between them at will. They all have various strengths and weaknesses, as we'll see, especially coming up in the next level where we're getting 2 extremely important ones.
Alright, so while we have a second at the end of this level, we're more or less just waiting on a timer. I just want to show off Lurch in actual action. So as you can see, I shoot the ground and create a little bit here. If I just jump and do nothing, we just come right back down. But if I jump and tap right, you see we actually move to the right a little bit. Same thing with left, same thing with forward, same thing with back. Again, this mechanic is available on mouse and keyboard, but is not available on controller due to how the game reads analog and digital movement. So there are, as I said, advantages and disadvantages, but more or less what you need to know is although controller does not give access to the Lurch mechanic, the controller is still 100% viable for this game because the 80% world record has been held by a controller runner by the name of Cash Mail. You might know him due to his famous gauntlet runs. His gauntlet world record, by the way, was beaten by 1.1 second yesterday. But today, actually, yeah. That is just crazy. But now we're done with Blood and Rust, and we're moving on into the level Into the Abyss. So this is Into the Abyss Chapter 1. The start of this level involves making use of some EPG boosts here. I didn't quite get it, but I can still get a decent backup. Nope, I just shot too far. Alright, that's fine. So normally in this level in any percent is kind of the snooze fest. You embark into BT, and then you do some basic Titan movement the whole time through in order to get on over through the level like intended. But in all helmets, there's actually these couple of helmets here at the start that you need to pick up. This is not going amazingly. I have not.
No, all these rocks, they all have like their visual appearance is like their exact geometry. There is no like grace with them at all. So if you hit a bump, you're going to lose all of your speed. Anyway, that was about as well navigated as we could have, given kind of like the hand we were dealt there. Boosting with the EPG can be really, really scary because if you shoot it too close, you do just die. And especially at the beginning of this level, the checkpoint system in this game is not super kind. Now coming up, we're going to be grabbing helmet number 3, which is in this really kind of tucked away location here. This level is a lot different than it is in any percent, and the strat here, the really fast strat, is so difficult. It's probably the hardest strat in the entire run. So naturally, in a marathon setting, we're going to go for something just a bit safer here. So we're going to attempt a disembark jump, which is holding jump when we get out of the Titan. If we hold it at the right window, we'll get the height. But fortunately, there are these like 4 walls right here that we can use to just kind of navigate around these 90-degree corners to get over here. Take a little safety right there just to make sure we get there. Again, pipes in Titanfall 2 are terrible. Something to keep in mind, or something to remember, I should say. And now BT was very nice and was in a great spot for us to re-embark. He's even going to take a few steps forward. What a nice guy.
Thank you, BT.
Yeah. And then following this, we have a strat known as wall boost. We're going to try and dash at the right time here to take advantage of the triggers here to get ahead of the intended cycle. Nice, got a boost from the wall. We're going to disembark just to be safe. That allows the wall to actually just clip right through us. And now we've through that saved about 5 seconds. Now coming up at the end of the level, we have some very unique routing for all helmets specifically. We're going to swap to Scorch, which is a Titan loadout that does massive amounts of both area effect and burst damage. So it's great for clearing out sets of Titans like this, especially when killing those Titans allows this door to open. So this last helmet is kind of in this little chasm right underneath us, like pretty much right underneath us right now. So what we're going to do is come around this corner, take a little tap strafe sort of to get around here, grab the helmet, and then instantly revert to checkpoint. So that's essentially an instantaneous teleport back up to the top. The game actually remembers that we grabbed the helmet. We don't have to re-grab it, even though we more or less went back in time. And we're able to progress as normal without having to climb back up. And then, like most other modern PC games, we time this game without loads for our leaderboard runs. So when the timer is paused during that load screen, it really is an instant teleport. Cool little tech right here. By pressing this button, it actually removes the kill plane that would exist otherwise, and we can jump down and hit the end level trigger that resides down here about 2 seconds faster than waiting on that little platform right there.
Alright, so that is the end of Into the Abyss Chapter 1. That stage goes from one of the more resonant sleeper stages in any percent to one of the absolute best in all helmets, so I really felt good about that for the most part, except for the beginning. It happens sometimes. But now we're hitting into the Abyss Chapter 2, and you might have heard the term auto-scroller thrown around for this level, and that's because it is. And in any percent, this opening movement here that I'm doing, it really doesn't matter, because there's a thing called Told Spice Route, which is a unintended route on the outside that gets you to the final platform well ahead of schedule, so even if you're kind of slow, you can still get there absolutely no problem. But the opening movement does somewhat, not completely, but it does somewhat matter in all helmets. And that's because we need to take the intended route. I'm sorry, Marvin, you're in my way, I have to.
Not sorry.
So, I'm going to end up dropping the EPG here. You can keep the EPG up until the end of Into the Abyss Chapter 3. However, I do need the Spitfire, and I do need Spitfire for later level, and I also need the EVA 8 for a visual setup later on in the stage. So I have to abandon it for the time being until I learn a different setup. Right here, I'm going to do something known as Swagginess. I'm going to take advantage of the platform's movement here and do some momentum conservation.
Oh, you got the ramp off? Oh,
I didn't have the double jump. Yeah.
Darn. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll go for it again. This looks really cool if you can get it. And this is purely a swag strat, by the way. This level is an auto-scroller, so this saves no time. Okay. Good try. It is nice if you're going faster, just to kind of get ahead of the assembly line. Normally for any percent runs, as Fluffy said, we take a route that goes pretty much all the way around the outside. You don't really get to see the level at all. Definitely not the case for this for all helmets. While it's still going to be essentially an auto-scroller, we still have to grab the other helmet, which is right on the intended path. And what you're seeing here, these are pretty actually like ancient strats that Fluffy's doing right now. Back when this game was first being routed, we did not know that this level was an auto-scroller, and so like these skips right here were super important, especially when we were still learning how airstripping worked in Titanfall 2. So yeah, many hours I would say wasted practicing those when they actually didn't mean anything.
I forgot about the other part. It's fine. Yeah. We're alive.
That's usually the reason in any percent that we don't take this route, is because, you know, there's a lot of moving parts that can kill you. So, yeah, it might look like Fluffy's struggling a bit to get on that platform, but really it does not matter. This is, as long as we are at the final staging area by the time that those platforms show up, which we will, we'll be able to advance pretty much as normal here. So here's another cool kind of like very old school strat where we would use this platform rotation right here to do a fun little platform launch. Yeah.
All right. So momentum conservation in a sense works that okay, that was bad.
Unfortunately, the checkpoint right here is like perfect. This is like the best checkpoint in the whole game. Nice.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Give the dude the mantle. What the? There we go. Now you got that for sure. Okay.
There we go. So that's how that's supposed to look. Unfortunately, you know, every time you do have to reload checkpoint, you do lose some time. But thankfully, the checkpoint there is incredibly forgiving. So we can get up there, pick that helmet up, and then come right back. So as you can see, that is an important thing right there. That is the first platform that'll ever reach this last station here. And it's important that we get here in time because that is basically, as long as we did everything perfectly, which we didn't this time, but that's okay, that is the platform we would have to reach in order to make sure that the stage remains an auto-scroller. So right now, I'm just going to wait out a little bit, try and shoot some of these guys to get their attention, make those guys blow up over there. And now that I've timed it out in my head, I'm going to cloak and jump on here. And the point of this is to try and prevent anybody from throwing an electric smoke at me. So there is a possibility that if I jumped on this early, that a Spectre or a Grunt would throw an electric smoke at me and kill me, and that is not fun.
Or it's possible that you could miss the platform coming out here.
Shh, we don't talk about that.
That's ever happened.
We don't talk about that, Brian. Stop it. We don't talk about it.
I'm not talking about anything. I'm just saying it could happen.
All right, we got some time for a couple donations.
Fantastic. I've got a few really good ones here, including a $5 donation here from Tiny Tim, who says, "Hey all, donating for the awesome LordFluffy and the Titanfall 2 run. I really enjoy watching this game being speedrun. It's a fantastic experience, and it's great to see it again at ESA. Shoutouts to the always amazing Brian Otto for the excellent commentary. Good luck on the run. Cheers."
Love you, Tiny Tim.
All right. So we're coming up now to another momentum conservation here. This is the most important one in this stage because this is the last thing that can really lose you time. This is dome launch. So I'm going to try and get a visual set up here, and hopefully if I do everything right, it's going to boost me all the way up there, which is going to be where a trigger is that I need to hit in order to continue the level. So let's see what we do.
That looks... You got it. Oh, you definitely got that. That's perfect. Yeah. Well done. Yeah, that's a massive strat. It saves like 10 seconds over even the next fastest strat. So that is really cool. And now we have the last helmet to get here. This helmet gets the award for helmet you are most likely to forget. if you attempt to do an all helmets run of Titanfall 2. Especially if you're learning this for the first time. Even if you've been running all helmets for a while, it's very easy just to kind of like zone out on this level because it's just kind of a bit slower paced and forget that one specifically. But fortunately, we're done. And now we're moving on to the second big sequence break in Titanfall 2 and our first out of bounds skip right here. And so there's actually a hole in the geometry right here. And actually, a cool history behind the skip is that we used to do this skip completely differently until a Respawn developer saw our submission video for Summer Games Done Quick 2017, which feels like a decade ago now, and said, hey, I worked on this level, and just so you know, there's a faster way to do it. I'm not going to tell you exactly how, but here's a hint. And then after a lot of searching from Tascanos and an Angry Albino, we ended up finding that there's a hole in the wall that allows us to navigate over here. And this specific location that we're standing in is important because this dome that's being built right now, the whole what's supposed to be happening here is it's building a combat arena for you to fight in. However, unbeknownst to the player, when the screen blacks out here, we're actually getting teleported to an alternate dome where the fight actually takes place. And by standing in this location, when we teleport, we appear right above the end level trigger. You saw we fell for a bit there, and the level is over. That massive fight sequence has been skipped, and just like Blood and Rust, this is saving upwards of 5 minutes.
Yeah, so like Bryce said, that is the first out of bounds in the run out of 3. The third one is sort of involuntary, but also voluntary. We'll get to it a bit later, but this is Into the Abyss Chapter 3, the final chapter. Again, you would normally be able to have the EPG here. Again, I'll be working on that for a later point, but for now, we're going to try and do a relatively hard strat, but a fast strat to get to this first helmet here. So I'm going to stand up here, and then when it stops moving, I'm going to double jump at the right time, and then hopefully, yep.
Getting that height is so hard, actually.
Yeah, getting that height to get up on top of a wall run there, which allows you to just quickly get up to the height you need to collect this helmet. Now we're going to wall jump off of here, and we're going to go through a routing through this area called Decept Caverns, found by S-Deception. This is an incredibly fast strategy through this area, which allows you to... Ooh, this might be a bit...
I think you got it.
Yeah,
you got it. You just got to uncrouch. Yeah. Yep. See, I knew that. Oh man, I've seen that happen so many times.
I uncrouched, man.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, if you are like, here's the second helmet just kind of on the way here. If you're holding crouch, like even like a half second before, be nice.
He dashed away from me twice, by the way. That's just so rude. BT, come on.
You can go back and watch the tape there, by the way. You saw that Fluffy let go of crouch way before they touch the wall. There's just some weird stuff that happens there where the game keeps you crouched, and when you're crouched, you can't grab the wall. It's very frustrating. Anyway, we're coming up on Ash Skip, and I'm sure you have a lot to say about that, Fluff.
Yeah, so Ash Skip is the second out of bounds in the run, and as the name implies, we skip the Ash boss fight. So it's gonna happen. What?
Whoa, the Ash Skip. We skip Ash. That's a great name.
Oh, okay. I couldn't read you there, I'm sorry. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the Brute's fly ability to get up on this pipe, and we're going to get past that little rung there and then disembark. What the game is trying to do there is find the closest location that it can actually put both Cooper and BT, because in that location it cannot actually put both Cooper and BT. The closest location happens to be out of bounds. So we hover up on that pipe and then walk this razor's edge here. This gets us past the Ash fight trigger so that we don't have to watch the cutscene. Even if we had hit the cutscene, we'd still be able to skip the fight. Then we do one more dash and another dash right here, disembark clip through another wall, and with that, there is one last little thing to do. As you can see, the inbounds is right here. We're going to fly up on top of it because we can't technically get an inbounds from that position. And thankfully, the end level trigger in this stage is always loaded. You can hit it from out of bounds, but even if you couldn't, you can get back in bounds just by disembarking again. And boom, just like that, Into the Abyss Chapter 3 is all done, and we are going to move on into the most famous stage in this game, Effect and Cause. So if you've played this game before, this is the stage that you remember. If you have a friend who always talks about this game, this is the stage he is talking about. So the first section here has some waiting periods, but also has relevant movement because you can lose a little bit of time here and there by having a little bit of sloppy movement. But basically, this segment is, what's happening? Why is everything no longer broken? More or less, this segment is you want to get from one set trigger to another that swaps the time back and forth, and you want to get through these triggers as fast as possible in order to get to the first big waiting period as fast as possible. So right now I'm doing a bunch of movement here to try and hit these triggers as fast as possible. I've said that so many times I can stop saying it now. So for this segment I'm going to try and hit some wall kicks here to get as much speed as I can. Ideally, I hit 2, maybe 3 in the best case scenario wall kicks. I'm pretty sure I got 1 good one.
Got a decent amount of speed here.
Yeah, I got 1 good one, which means I got some decent speed. Gonna tap strafe once there to get on here, and then we're gonna fly on over.
Nice,
so
dude.
Lord Dump here, real quick. This is Captain Anderson. We were supposed to be rendezvousing with him. He's just hanging out. Don't worry about him. He's just going to keep hanging out there. So we're just going to take his helmet because he's got some important data on it. That's just some tomato juice he spilled. Don't worry about it. And we now need to take his helmet over to BT, which will activate a cutscene here. So this cutscene is unskippable. There's nothing we can do to speed this up. There are some helmets we'll pick up during this, but it's not really interesting. So you've probably got time to bang out like 3 or 4 donations easily.
Fantastic. Let's get 4 then. I've got a $25 donation here from Lameets, who says, "Good luck, my lord." I've got a $20 donation here from Styx that says, "So excited to watch this run. Glad it's on before I have to sleep. Best of luck, and I'm rooting for you always, Fluffs."
Thank you, Styx.
And then I've got 2 donations here with no comment. One from Anonymous for $5. Thank you so much for that. And one for $50 from Warded Animal. Thank you both for the donations. You are the reason that we can put this amazing marathon on.
You got time for some more.
Then I'm going to take that moment to remind everyone watching that we do have many amazing bid wars and donation incentives here, including for our next game, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis Any Percent. You can choose the costume that the runner plays with. That includes Classic, Default, or Regina. At current, Classic is leading with 300, and Default is still getting no love at $0, so we understand who the favorite child is.
Alright, so with the majority of that waiting sequence over, we now are going to wait for BT to throw this little lamppost here into an opening clearing. That opening clearing is technically something we could parkour to if there wasn't an invisible wall in the way. So what we're going to do, when BT raises his hand like that, we're going to wall run and then jump off the wall, hit the zip line as soon as we possibly can, and then also hit a dialogue, which will get us in there and save a few seconds over just waiting at the bottom and then riding the zip line the whole way up. And Bri, go ahead.
Yeah, so this segment coming up here is probably my most proud find ever in this game. So obviously time swapping back and forth, and we can't control it yet, but we can take advantage of our positioning when time does do a swap. So what's going to happen here is the time is going to swap back to the clean timeline, is how we'll refer to it, where you'll see a laser grid, and then when time swaps back, the laser grid won't be there. However, we'll position ourselves in a very specific spot and then hit the right triggers to make the time progress again. So we're going to go back here, and then we'll be inside the laser grid. Boom! Now we just get launched out so fast down this hallway, clock that dude in the head, save like 8 seconds along the way. That's called FTL. That's faster than light because we're using light, which is lasers, to go faster than the time swaps. Anyway, so that was really, really sick, dude. Nicely done.
I'm popping off. I'm so happy to hit that in a marathon. All right, so now we're heading into Effect and Cause Chapter 2. This is my personal favorite level in the entire game, and it's because it has the greatest tooltip. So that whole time-swapping thing, you know, that we've been happening, we can control it now, and we can press mouse 5 to time travel. So the first little bit of this isn't super different from any percent. We're just going to do a bunch of time swaps and jumps at the right time in order to get the momentum and the positioning that we need in order to bypass everything. Ooh,
rude.
Didn't swap time quick enough there, and that's like the potential issue that can happen. So, right, I'm going to let you take over.
Marvin's. Thank you for punching that one. Yeah, this level is pretty straightforward from a speedrun perspective, but this is one of the big three, I would say, in all helmets. Both this, Blood and Rust, and Beacon Chapter 3. There are 6 helmets in this short, roughly like 3-4 minute level. This first one is right at the top of the elevator here, and I don't know about you, Fluff, but I'm always counting my jumps when I come through here. Yeah. It is so important to be at the right vertical height for these because really, the Cooper's hitbox does not extend above like the player camera really at all. It's really, really easy to miss these helmets. So this level is kind of split in the middle here by these 2 lengthy dialogue sequences. We're going to be waiting through this one here, and then the next helmet is right at the end of the hallway, just when the door opens. Hello, Fluffy.
Hi, Bri. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Good. Cool. So yeah, here we go. We're just waiting for Anderson to open the door here, or for the dialogue to end, I should say. And this helmet here has a bit of nuance to it. We want to be just high enough so we can double jump into the ceiling and then kind of get a boost downward so we can generate enough speed. There you go, to get a slide boost with speed generated by strafing. So that was not perfect, but you still got the slide boost done there, which is the important part. So now, after this next bit of Anderson dialogue here, we're going to be at one of the most difficult points in the game. I'm not sure what strat choice Fluffy is going to go for here, but let me tell you, there are like 10 different strats for all helmets for navigating these next rooms up here, honestly. That's one of the really cool things about Titanfall 2, is that, you know, there are like 4 or 5 strats for any given room. They're all within like a second or two of each other, and you can really pick and choose, you know, which ones you want to do dependent on like your comfort level and your skill level and all that. This first helmet right here can be pretty difficult because we have to kind of navigate our way through the time swaps here, and the game could be pretty picky with positioning you in relative to like a wall if there's one in the opposite timeline, so it's kind of annoying. And here we come into Hell Room. This room right here, infamous for killing runners and killing runs as a whole. Oh, okay, there we go. There we go. The geometry on these platforms is all super annoying, and we're going to try to have to navigate through here just at the right way. The helmet that's coming up right after this one sits at a very high vertical point in between 2 walls, and obviously you can't see where the helmet is if you're not in the timeline that the helmet exists in. Jeez! Oh man, you might die to the zipline now!
I'm fine. Calm yourself down, Bri. I'm fine. Dang it.
Fluffy's over here like stone cold, while I'm the one not playing and the one that's like freaking out all over the place. There we go. Okay, so we got all the helmets. Everything is fine. Fluffy is calm. I'm sure chat is totally calm. I'm just over here screaming my head off and not making it any easier for Fluffy. Anyway, so we got through there, I would say, relatively unscathed. Like, I don't really know, the Prowlers were kind of mean, but you could have died, and that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was definitely a completion of Effect and Cause Chapter 2 in an all-helmet speedrun, I'll say that much.
Those Prowlers, I gotta say it, that has never happened before, so not my...
Nice!
Not my proudest moment, but you know what? We're good. We're good.
So here we are with Effect and Cause Chapter 3. This is the kind of like climax of this mission here. Very, very straightforward for our purposes right now. There are, since this uses the same level as Effect and Cause Chapter 1, we have already collected the helmets here. And so there's not really much for us to do aside from, you know, go to point A, go to point B. We do have some really cool looking set pieces, and there's a kind of like a frozen time segment that looks really, really cool. But otherwise, we're just kind of going through the intended route here. And yeah, no helmets in Effect and Cause 3 or Beacon Chapter 1, which is the upcoming chapter, which is probably, I would say, probably the low point of the run, to be sure, which, you know, Effect and Cause 3 is a fun level on its own, but in all helmets, when you don't have anything new to do, you're just kind of like, okay. Anyway, but this looks really pretty.
Yeah, so time is completely frozen here as the arc just exploded inside of a miniature version of the fold weapon. We'll get into that later. And as a result, the device, I guess, is protecting us in a way by allowing us to move in frozen time here, which allows us to complete our mission objective, which is to come up here and scan the arc. And we're done with the stage now, and as Brian mentioned, there's no helmets to collect here, and there's no helmets to collect in the next stage, Beacon Chapter 1. Definitely the low point of all helmets if you're running it to do something different from any percent, as there is absolutely nothing different to do. You do the same strats between both stages. So, with that being said, this is a small cutscene to the end of the stage here. We probably got time for one donation.
Be great if I could unmute my mic in time. That's probably the best way to do this. I actually want to take a quick moment to remind you all that we do have amazing prizes for you all to donate to, and it's cumulative, so every donation you put in through the week, including the grand prize of a Sony PlayStation 5 plus Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Where else are you going to get that?
Seriously.
Yeah, for real.
That's a great prize to have. Yeah, like as far as I'm concerned, PS5s don't exist. Until, you know what I mean? Like, I don't believe a PS5 exists, but you could probably get your hands on one if you donate for it, so you should definitely do that. That's amazing that they even have the PS5 as a prize. That is awesome. Anyway, so here we are, Beacon Chapter 1. This level is a bit of a doozy. Has a lot of really weird geometry. Unlike the other levels that have a bunch of rocks, the geometry on these ones doesn't really match the visual model for them, so it's kind of a guessing game at times. We do have a bit of a interesting little skip here, though, that we'll be doing. This was a dialogue skip that was found by Tronjivolta, one of our longtime console runners. So essentially, the gist of it is here that we're going to come down to these stalkers down here that are attacking this building and just punching walls. We're going to eliminate all of them and then run back to BT as fast as we can. And if we do it quick enough, and emphasis on quick enough, we'll be back at BT by the time the game is doing the first check to like basically progress the game. So we have all the objectives done, and what'll happen is about like 45 seconds of dialogue we'll just skip pretty much instantly. It's really nice. A very nice skip to have.
There we go. Beautiful.
Yep,
Well ahead of time. So I'm going to take a little bit of safety here. There is a possibility the game can crash if you try and embark immediately into BT there. So by waiting a little bit, you can oftentimes completely circumvent the possibility of that. So now that dialogue skip has happened relatively early, I need to get to these doors around the time that they open, and I'll be right there, basically, which is pretty
nice,
good.
Dude.
And disembark, and that is basically the end of the Beacon Chapter 1, because there's nothing else we can do at this point to speed it up. The Holy Grail, basically, is finding a way to get out of bounds at this point, because the end-level trigger, once BT starts talking to Captain Colt here, is loaded. So if we could find a way to reliably get out of bounds and get to that end-level trigger, we could skip this like 30-ish second sequence of dialogue.
Really, yeah, this is one of the most infamous skips that we've tried to find in the game. We've had a lot of theories thrown at it, but really once we get BT in here, we don't have a reliable way to get out of bounds and also in a position that allows us to hit the end level trigger. So definitely one of the many theorized skips for this game. But yeah, once this door opens, we are on to one of the most difficult levels in the run. I mean, I would say like pretty much everything from here on out is like the absolute hard part of the run. Pretty much everything here from the end of the game. All the levels are different for all the levels are difficult for a variety of different reasons. So here we are with the Beacon Chapter 2. This is our game's most storied IL, individual level, from like a world record history perspective, and also in terms of competition. Reginald's 142.65 on this level is actually legendary. That said, it's not too different in all helmets. The movement through here is going to be relatively similar, where we're going to be just kind of navigating around these electric walls, which will kill us. We have one helmet to get in this early part, and it's actually in a room that we're going to end up skipping entirely. So what we want to do is come through here and grab the helmet, and then we want to just get across this bridge, get the checkpoint, instantly reset the checkpoint, and actually just grab this grenade launcher here and take a death warp, which is going to put us at the perfect spot for a skip known as Kill Room Skip. So that room that we ran into for a second was known as Kill Room, and it's surrounded by a bunch of enemies we have to kill to progress it. So close, so close. So this jump right here is kind of like an encapsulation of, you know, everything that is difficult about Titanfall 2 from a movement perspective. And also it has two pipes, not one pipe, but two that you have to navigate around. So getting this is not easy. That looks like a good boost, though. The kill point is just so high up there, but Fluffy got it. Third try. Very nice. Definitely a very hard skip to do. And getting it, I mean, that was essentially second try, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
In a marathon setting is really good. This level has a lot of fans in it that'll boost you. So we're going to hop in this one to get up high real quick. And then we're coming down to the gimmick of this level, so to speak. We're going to grab this big shooty zappy gun here, the hacker gun, the arc tool, whatever you want to call it. Kill the Marvin, thank you. This is going to be a big laser that's going to turn things on and off. That's pretty much the gimmick here. And we're going to use it again for the second fan launch coming up. And we want to hit this fan launch just perfectly to get the right vertical height to grab this. That's so smooth. That is actually really... Oh! Well... so that is actually really hard to do, to get the correct vertical push from the fan.
Oh my goodness.
You know, we're just doing a little trampoline right now. We're just having a little bit of fun. You know, we're at ESA summer. We're having a little bit of summer fun, you know, just playing on a little trampoline. Yep. Anyway, so now we're moving on up to the next big skip of the level. This is going to be heatsink skip. There's a little movement puzzle that we would have to do to navigate through the heatsink. And by doing this movement, we'll actually be able just to pretty well navigate around the outside of it. Fluffy's going to use a little damage boost, or he's going to get source splash damaged and not get it, but they get it anyway. So that was really nice. And we hop into that room just to hit a trigger. And now we're on basically the home stretch. We're not quite done yet, though. All of this movement that we have right here, or all the speed, this is an intended amount of speed that you get from the fan. We're going to try and convert this into a wall kick. So we have to kind of navigate through here and then hit this fan at the right angle. Nice! Perfect. both wall kicks. That was super well done. Definitely makes up for everything else that happened there. Pretty hard to slide up the stairs there, but hitting that, hitting fast fans, as it's called, super difficult. That was really well navigated. Well done.
All right. So, the Beacon Chapter 2 is done, and now we're probably heading into the most iconic level in Titanfall 2 speedrunning, which is the Beacon Chapter 3. So, if you've ever heard of a little thing called Super Fastball, this is the level that Super Fastball takes place in. Before the intermission ended between the Blast Run and my run, you might have seen me explain how that works. We're not actually going to do Super Fastball in this run. However, we are going to do a variation known as Super Curveball. So, there are helmets along the path of Super Fastball that we need to get. However, the Fastball route does not actually take us there. So we need to do an alternative route that we have named Curveball to pick up those helmets along the way, and hopefully still looks just as, if not more, impressive than Super Fastball.
Yeah, so, Super Curveball is not only like one of the best strat names in my opinion, especially when you compare it to Fastball, but also like just one of the best strats in Titanfall 2.
Yeah, so real quick, the start of the stage is just you need to go in here and power up that sequence to power up the beacon, and then the beacon fails, and then now that triggers us to have to go through the level to get another beacon, repair it, blah, blah, blah. That room is supposed to have radiation, but you can actually just go in there in easy difficulty, take a nap, come back, and you'll still be alive. It will not kill you on easy difficulty, so... Right now we are waiting here, so I'm in my little cubby. I look down on all the peasants down below, like Sergeant McCord and Captain Cole over here, just peasants. I am the pilot. I am strong. I look down on all of you. I love you though, BT. I'm not looking down on you. You look up to me most of the time.
I like that he put his fist up right when you said that.
So there's going to be a little bit of thing we need to do before that we can do Super Curveball. So as I embark into BT here, I'm going to let Bri take the reins and explain that.
Yep, so this is the key element of this iconic part of the run. So we're going to be doing a glitch here called Moon Boots. Moon Boots is super interesting. It was discovered entirely on accident by Taskanos when we were trying to figure out ways to clip through walls by disembarking from BT. So what we're going to do is we're going to swap to the Brute loadout, which has the ability to hover. You saw it on display back in Ash Skip. And we're going to kind of wedge ourselves in a corner here and then fly and then disembark. Now, disembarking while flying is not intentional at all, but by wedging ourselves in a corner there like that and kind of balking our head, we're able to disembark while we do it. And this has some very interesting effects that you can already see on display here. It removes about 15% of our player gravity, decreases our player gravity by around 15%, which makes us a bit more floaty, hence the name Moon Boots, like we're on the moon. And so coming up here, BT is like, yo, we gotta get across there, but there's no way for us to do it, so why don't I just chuck you? So BT is gonna throw us. However, we have quite a few helmets to get on the way, so this is not Super Fastball. This is Super Curveball. First time ever in a marathon. Best of luck, Fluffy. This is very difficult. So here we go on the toss. You have to get a wide right strike to hit the trigger. And now we got to get the slide straight up there. Not go too high. Very well done. Got the helmet. Now we have to take an extended slide hop to make sure we get the correct vertical height to get up here. This looks good. Now we just have to convert all the momentum. Hard tap strafe to the right. Jump off the crane. Fluffy is doing it. Super Curveball. ESA Summer 2021. That was so well done. Nicely done, Fluffy. That is seriously so difficult to navigate that like that. And then just to bring it home, we come through the window here, trying to grab this in one fluid motion. Very nice. Tap strafe around the corner. And how do you feel right now? You nailed it. How do you feel?
Adrenaline is rushing, dude. It wasn't perfect, but it was still good enough. And getting that second helmet and doing that tap strafe, that is the mega hard part. So getting past that is just such a good feeling. Such a grin on my face right now. I am adrenaline pumping. All right, so we're not quite done with things yet. So this is a Grav Star boost. So I'm going to pick up this helmet and get boosted by this Gravity Star, which is going to allow me to clear this gap that I wouldn't otherwise normally be able to skip, and allows me to skip a section where I have to move the dish into position to jump to. And the great thing about Grav Stars is they don't actually kill you, even if you're in the direct center of their hit radius. So we can use that for a thing known P-Zipless here, and Bri can take it away again.
Yep, so we're going to be using that Gravity Star that Fluffy just talked about to give us a boost all the way. This is just a race to get back to BT now. So that's a pretty consistent setup. We're just going to try and convert that momentum from the Gravity Star boost into a wall kick. Got a little bit caught up on the platform here, lost our speed from a standing position, but that said, we have more Gravity Stars we can use. Fortunately, this trick doesn't end in the hyper difficult way that it does in any percent. We just need to get inside this building here, but we need this last Gravity Star for an important trick right here. So we're going to pre-place the Gravity Star, then go grab the helmet, then come back, then do the Gravity Star boost, and it's perfect just to get all the way across. That is a strong boost. Take a wall kick just for a little bit of safety. Super well done. This is for a marathon Beacon Chapter 3. This is being absolutely dismantled and shredded right now.
All right, so this little fight sequence here is sort of an auto-scroller. There's a kind of some timers that are going on here. I'm going to do a little optimization.
Thank you, Smitty.
So, more or less, the game is spawning like a very large number of enemies, but at a certain point in this fight, it'll stop spawning enemies infinitely, and it's around that point that I want to disembark and start climbing to go get some more helmets. So, right now, I'm not getting anybody to spawn right now. I know there's some guy up there that's... Okay, there we go. So, around this point is, after shooting a missile at that guy, I want to disembark, and now what I want to do is I want to get as much height as I can, jump on over here to get to this side. Typically, in the any percent route, we'd wait for the gong for the most part, and then we'd climb up straight to the top. But because there are still 2 more helmets we need to grab, we're going to wait until the game stops instantly spawning enemies, hope that BT takes care of the rest of them, and pick up these 2 helmets. I lost my train of thought. Pick up these 2 helmets and get to the top before the dish fully drops down. So the gong has happened. All of the enemies are now dead. I'm having a little trouble with this jump. But this
platforming here can be a little bit annoying, especially if you kind of like. I mean, especially if you're at a marathon and you lose your train of thought, like mid commentary. Like suddenly navigating through this becomes a lot more difficult. And I'm not like being like facetious or anything. Like this has literally happened to me before. So definitely a very familiar setting to be in. This little helmet grab right here looks scary, but navigating around here actually isn't too difficult. The wall here is like pretty generous, and we just have to kind of navigate on the wall here, take a wall jump around the outside, and we are at the very top. So, yep, now we're just going to install the module. We're going to fix the thing. We're going to do the objective to advance the game, and we're going to transition into a very iconic scene with Cooper and BT here.
And hopefully we'll have some fireworks in the process. Beautiful. Alright, so that is the pilot segment of Beacon Chapter 3, all done and done. I had a little bit of slop at the end there, couldn't quite get those jumps the way I wanted to, but as Bryce said, it looks harder than it actually is. Sorry, it looks
easier than it actually is.
I am doing great at commentary right now. So, right now, there is a fight that we have to do before we can finish up the stage. So, this first set of Reapers here, we're just going to kill 3 melees. We're not going to use any of our bullets or abilities because we can kill these guys, and the next set of enemies spawns at the same time interval no matter what. So we're going to pre-position to spawn manipulate them in here, dash forward, throw our arc wave so that we can kill these 2 in a 2 melees rather than 1, shoot this guy 4 times to take him down, and now we're going to come over here. We're going to swap to the Scorch loadout, and we're going to look and stand in this position so that we can spawn manip these guys over in this area. We place 1 gas trap over here. We light it with the flame wall. We put another one here. Hopefully this Ronin dashes forward. He did not, but he is at least in the fire. So we can take at least a little bit of advantage of this. We're going to go back to the brute loadout real quick to just take care of that guy. Swap back to Scorch, and now we're going to fight the boss of this level, Richter. So this is a kind of an infuriating cutscene, because real quick, there are these like guns that are firing, but they just stop firing even though he gets out of his Titan, and like, we're right in front of him. We could just punch him. We could just turn him into goo, and we can't do it. It's so frustrating, and I hate it.
He's also invincible during this too, so even if you find a way to damage him outside of it, which you can, he doesn't die.
So this is a Scorch-related Richter fight strat here. He's kind of trolling me here. But I thankfully still managed to kill him relatively quickly and got the execute before he did his missile barrage, which can cause a glitchy execution. And just like that, we are now completely done with the Beacon Chapter 3. And while there were some mistakes, I'm very happy with that showing. For like pretty much for a marathon setting, that was a very good showing.
And naturally, you executed all the really hard stuff and only messed up the easy stuff. So you know, I think like honestly, I would take that in a marathon any day of the week. You know.
Yeah, 100%. Hope everyone enjoyed that, but we're not done with the run yet. With that being said, we are in a unskippable cutscene at this point. We're just waiting for the level to end, so this is a great time for a few donations.
Alrighty, this has been a request in chat a few times here. I ended up getting 2 donations here to read a voice line from later in the game, so spoilers not, we'll see. There's $10 from Zacharaz141 and $5 from Pandas Are Robots, which is a great name. Let's see what I can do here. Voodoo 1, Vipers on station. Your journey ends here, pilot. The skies belong to me. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Got you in the pipe 5x5.
That was really good, actually.
That was very good, actually.
That was really good, actually. Yeah, I was like, what was this, Viper?
Thank you.
We have a little treat coming up later on for that, too. If you didn't notice earlier, Fluffy is a very good voice actor, which we will be seeing later on. So, yeah, fun fact, by the way, as you've noticed, we're sitting through a lot of dialogue here. This level in particular, I mentioned at the beginning of the run that we're playing in Mandarin because the dialogue is a lot shorter. This level alone accounts for 1/3 of all of our time saved by playing in Mandarin. We save upwards of 12 seconds here, just in this level by itself. So very, very important Mandarin in Beacon Chapter 3.
Alright, so the lore of the situation here is that we have managed to contact the militia fleet, and since we scanned the Ark, we know where it is, so we're going to be heading to a facility where the Ark is to try and take it away from the IMC, which will lead us into the level Trial by Fire. This is probably the most unique level in the entire speedrun due to the fact that most levels contain either entirely pilot movement or partially pilot movement and partially Titan movement/combat, whereas this stage is almost exclusively Titan combat and movement. So the first thing we're going to do when this cutscene finishes off here is we're going to swap to the Ronin loadout, because the Ronin loadout has an ability called Sword Block. Sword Block reduces all incoming damage by 75%. And the reason why this is important is it allows us to get beyond where the game would normally expect us to go. So you see this wall down here that we're dropping to. We can actually get all the way to this wall using the Ronin Sword Block ability. Whereas normally if we tried to do that, the game would shred us and kill us even on easy difficulty in something like 5 seconds. So we're going to pull it out here. Once we start taking damage, dash forward. So we are going to take a whole lot of damage here and enter the Doom State, but trust me, this is worthwhile. Also, this wall doesn't exist, by the way, just so you know. We get behind and get ourselves pre-positioned, so once the turrets stop firing, we can start putting down all the traps and fire that we need in order to deal damage. So ideally here, we can get 100% Court to take out a whole bunch of these guys. We're going to hit this guy and kill him. Hopefully we can pick up his battery here. All right, that's good. Shoot that guy. Oh, if you're going to get close to me, I guess I'll take you out. So the goal here is to kill a certain number of Titans from the first and second waves that spawn. The reason why we want to do this is because we're looking for a dialogue from Sarah Briggs. Ooh, we are in danger here.
This is spooky. I am
spooky. Need a battery.
That's right there.
I'm just gonna go for this one. I'm just gonna go for this one.
Okay, okay, there's 2 right there. Okay, woof. Goodness.
All right, not the greatest moment there, but we can.
We're alive. That's all that matters at this point.
Yeah, so right now I'm trying to hit at least 1 or 2 more of these guys down. There it is. So that's the dialogue we're looking for. Sarah Briggs saying, "Pilot, you're with me." So at this point, I'm gonna just dash to get past her because she was in my way. So at this point, we use the Ronin loadout. We come over here, take out these 2 Titans, and there's a very specific core management route that we do here because we do want to have 100 core by the end of this segment. So thankfully, Sarah is already inside the elevator in the corridor here. And this is important because this section is actually a quote cleverly unquote disguised escort mission. We need to get Sarah to this elevator at the end of the sequence in order to progress the level. We have found ways to skip the elevator, but unfortunately Sarah needs to get to that elevator if we're going to progress the level. So now we're going to use our Ronin core here again. We're going to slash this guy twice. Get rid of the rest of the core. Throw our arc wave here. Melee these guys once, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to quick swap to the brute loadout. Use what is known as a tactic cancel to start firing way sooner, and that's perfect. So we've managed to kill all those guys and basically cleared everything, almost everything that can get in Sarah's way. There's some grunts and a Reaper that we didn't clear. But
Worst
because
helmet in the game, by the way.
Yeah, this is the worst helmet in the game. Because we have to get this awful helmet to get that I have never understood how to do optimal movement in this entire section.
It's so dumb.
I do not understand. I just do not understand. So hopefully, at this point, Sarah would be here at this point or approaching, and she's trolling.
Well, are you joking me?
Sarah.
This is pretty ridiculous. So that was what you would expect from like an any percent run. But the fact that we're able to take 2 detours for helmets and then Sarah was still taking her sweet time is a little unlucky.
Alright, so don't listen to Sarah there. That was the hard part of the level. The easy part of the level is coming up here. So we're going to do an audio cue. We're going to dash and hover here, which is going to get us up to the top of this elevator earlier than intended. Then we're going to swap back to Ronin, and this is important for a reason, because the last helmet that we need to grab is over on here. So we're going to do a disembark boost, which is crouching when disembarking from a Titan. Get on over to this helmet here, and then we're going to wall run back, get back into BT, and now it's just a bunch of Titan movement to the end of the level. So, something you may have noticed is that when the Ronin's sword core is activated, your dash actually refreshes at a much quicker rate than normal. So that is important because being able to use these quick refresh dashes means that you can navigate through levels much quicker. Unfortunately, because we only get Ronin... words are hard. Why did I swap there? I don't really know what I'm doing.
No, you're building core. You're building core back up. This is like a pretty common tactic. Brute is like really good for building core.
Yeah,
so
true.
Oftentimes you'll see players. I'm speaking to just to be clear, Fluff. I'm speaking to the stream right now, not to you. I'm not trying to like condescend you or anything. Yeah.
No,
oftentimes you'll see players like swap off of Ronin to build core faster, just because every time you swap to a new loadout, it does give you a full ammo readout. Or full ammo loadout. So yeah, for fast core building, it's normally like Ronin, Brute, and Scorch. Usually the ones that we're going for.
What is this? Excuse me? Trolled. I'm trolled. I'm getting trolled. That has never happened before. I have never seen that tone just slide in my way like that. What was that?
Yeah, this level is, you're being trolled.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, so that might have been a lot of things at once, but that was relatively good overall. Sarah trolled, the tone trolled. I trolled myself in one place, but it's fine. That went really well overall. So now we're going to head on into the second to last level in the game, the Arc. And this is the one that everyone hates. But before we do that, we're actually going to quit to the main menu, go to Mission Select, and select the Arc from the Mission Select menu. The reason we do this is because we use the Ion loadout in order to do a fast boss fight strat against Viper at the end of this level. However, we do not pick up the Ion loadout in normal gameplay in the speedrun. The reason why we allow going back to the main menu to use Mission Select to get the Ion loadout is because the Mission Select screen unlocks that level every time, the first time you ever load into that level. So, since we started New Game, we could see that the fold weapon, the last level was locked, but the Arc was not. So, we are now in a auto-scroll section here. We can't really speed this up in any way, shape, or form, but we can take advantage of this to talk about Barker Skip, which is the first and major skip coming up in this level. So what's going to happen is we're going to want to use a frag boost to jump from one ship to another ship to skip a sequence where BT would throw us. The issue with doing this skip is it ends up sometimes breaking the level. So there's some weird things that can happen with doing Barker Skip. The fall timer that exists in this level, where, you know, unlike other stages that have kill planes, if you fall for too long in this level, you die, can bug out. Sometimes the game will crash. Sometimes the game will soft lock. All things considered, we want to get to the boss fight against this guy here, Viper, with as little trouble as possible. And Viper is great. He's the perfect mix of anime edge and cool. Visual clear. I've got good tone. And he will destroy the ship we're in, which will lead us into the actual gameplay segment here. So, we're going to come up on Barker Skip. By the way, BT's up there. He's waving at us. Hi, BT. What's going on? And now he's here. So, hopefully we get this frag boost going first try. That would be the greatest situation here. But I do need an audio and a visual cue here, so I'm going to need a little bit of quiet.
Oh, that nasty set of RNG there. Yeah. That's a really hard one to navigate.
Yeah, so Barker Skip has probably the single biggest variance of any trick in the game. It can have several elements that can screw you over.
Looks a bit better. Dang. Okay.
Man, not getting enough height from the grenade, unfortunately, and and Barker's also tilting down as well, which isn't helping.
Yeah, definitely something to be expected here. This might make it. Oh, I'm gonna overshoot perfectly. Yeah, there's a lot of factors that are at play here. And to correctly read a lot of these situations, you have to read the angle that the 6-4 coming in, the angle the ship is tilted at. You might want to sit on the grenade for a bit longer than not. Very, very difficult trick, Barker.
Oh, please get on the ship. Nah!
Did you get a checkpoint? I wonder if it gave you a checkpoint on the ship.
Know.
Oh my goodness. This is super duper difficult. Yeah, this is definitely like not an uncommon thing to happen in a run.
Yeah, so it's super common. And then I killed myself, which is another possibility that can happen.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So, this is why the estimate is very large in comparison to my PB, because there are a lot of factors that can go really wrong in the run. This is one of them.
Yeah.
Oh, I jumped way too early that time.
And this is where it gets really difficult, especially from a runner's perspective, because when you start messing up Barker like this over and over and over, you're wondering, like, okay, what am I doing wrong? What is the sort of adjustments do I need to make? Then maybe make the adjustment and nothing happens, and so it's very easy to kind of like psych yourself out in this scenario. So this is definitely just kind of like a buckle down and try and finish it out sort of scenario.
Yeah, so I just quickly reloaded an NCS save to maybe adjust the RNG values a little bit, and you've got to be kidding me, dude.
My goodness gracious. So overshooting once is one thing, overshooting twice is another. Anyway, okay, so here we are coming up on Barker for the first try. Good luck, Fluffy. Wow, first try Barker in a marathon. That
first try, dude. Let's go.
Super
That's
well
awesome.
done. That was awesome, Fluffy.
So really quickly, we're going to get into another skip here, which is the 6-4 skip. So once again, there's another scripted sequence of events the game wants to have happen, but we can actually just completely ignore that by sliding at the right time here. And then we got a really good seed with the 6-4 as well, which allowed us to slide in and grab that helmet immediately. That is about as well as 6-4 skip can go in this situation. I'm going to live. I will live. I'm definitely not die in this scenario.
The amount of times this run that you've come within, like, a few feet of death. Oh my
I'm okay. It's perfectly fine. All right. So first try Barker, first try 6-4. A little bit of trouble there, but it's no big deal. So up next here is a gun battery clear segment. Normally the game expects you to clear all 3 of these gun batteries, but you actually only need to clear the 3rd one. So as I jump here, I'm going to pull a frag grenade. I'm going to throw it at these guys at the right time. The game is going to tackle me over. I'm going to make sure to shoot that guy. Where these guys? They came up. Where's this last guy? Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
He activated the...
Well, that's unfortunate. He just kind of got completely out
fine.
of... Nope. Okay.
Oh, dang it. Okay, so
there's another guy alive. What is this?
Yeah, it was the 2 dudes that are sitting over on the left side when you approach the gun battery. I don't think your frag damaged them at all, so they both saw you and like instantly ran away.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. All right, well, a little bit of slop, but that's just sometimes the things that can happen. All right, so right now, okay, cool. Davis came down first. There's a thing that can happen if Draws comes down first sometimes, where he'll just hang on the zip line and float off into the distance, and the level will soft lock. It's hilarious, but it is just very sad when it happens if on a good pace run. So right now here we're going to get the 2nd helmet. I'm going to take a safety strat here by jumping and getting on top. Oop, well,
we're not doing the safety strat. We're doing the fast one. Nicely done.
Get on the wall, please. Okay.
Cooper.
Jack there we go.
Cooper.
Nice.
There we go.
Jack Cooper getting on the wall. Let's go. All right, so now we are in a hangar clear segment where we've got to take out a large number of these enemies. So the 6-4 that dropped out of that ship from us is scripted to take out a certain number of enemies, but however, they will not take out all of them. So what we need to do in this situation is we need to kill a specific certain enemies in certain areas, and then a certain number of them in other places. So right now I'm using the Mastis here to clean out the right ones. And now we're going to head on up here to kill these guys up here. These are the last things I need to do. I hate when this happens, but sometimes when the ship tilts, what is a standable ramp turns into a wall, and it's really silly.
It's very frustrating. This is the second worst helmet in the game, by the way. This one all the way down here. If you go, they'll probably just finish the fight while you're going, honestly.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm just going to hope they do.
This one is, like, extremely out of the way. This one's all the way down here, and getting back up from this position is really, really annoying. You have to, like, finish the fight up top, then you come down, then you have to go back up again, and due to the way that the ship is tilting, you can't reliably have, like, a super fast strat there other than literally just walking up the stairs. It's really, really frustrating. So, yeah, combining that with room clear and everything else that the Ark has to throw at you can be, yeah, again, really frustrating.
All right, so I apologize for any loud sound you might have heard there. For some reason, I have a bug where if I go back and grab that helmet, there's an engine sound that is supposed to be really soft, turns out to be max volume. So if you heard anything, I do apologize. I forgot to warn y'all, but hopefully it didn't happen. My commentator didn't hear it the last time I tested it.
Yep.
So this section here, we're going to stab our handy-dandy data knife, which is just a knife you stab into things and it hacks them. And we're steering this giant ship with a knife inside of a console. Don't worry about it. Plot convenience is a great thing. I am using a controller for this section instead of mouse and keyboard because aiming this with analog movement is significantly easier and less frustrating than aiming it with digital. So this is the last thing that can potentially screw me. Okay, so there is a thing that can happen where sometimes the fall tower will bug out as you come off of that console and it will kill you. The game can also crash on that console. But now that we're past all that, we get to go to my favorite part of this level because I get to do something I enjoy all the time on my own stream. Alright, so Voodoo 1, Viper's on station. Your run ends here, pilot. The RNG belongs to me. No time to save. No run to bless.
So, here we go with a brand new Viper fight strat. We're going to double shoot Viper there with the laser shot to get his shields down. Now we're going to try and lay into him with his tone as much as possible, get the rockets off, and then now what we're trying to do is eliminate Viper ASAP, which can be really, really hard to do when he's flying through the air like this. That was really good. So now we just built up core. We're going to come around and use it on the Scorches. We're kind of doing this fight in like the reverse order that would be intended normally, and due to the length that this fight is taking, this is a little scary now. So there's quite a few moving parts that are happening here that I'll take some time to explain. So if you do Viper fight fast enough in this next scripted cutscene that plays out, you'll actually go so fast that the cutscene takes you outside of the intended play area and the invisible box that encompasses it. However, if you're like a little bit slow, you'll kind of toe that line in between and you'll end up both like kind of like just outside of the box but also inside of it. There's a couple really nasty things that can happen here where you can die instantly or you start getting instantly pushed by the box. So if you look at this how the screen's kind of artifacting a bit, that means we're out of bounds. Now what we're looking for, now we're outside of the box and the box is rapidly catching up with us, and okay, we got lucky right there. You saw that the screen went back to normal. That means that the box passed over us just as the cutscene was ending, and we don't have to do any more shenanigans with trying to clip back and bounce. So that was really scary. That could have been like a literal soft lock, like end of the run. Fortunately, we're all good.
That was a really good arc. That was first try Barker, first try 6-4, a little bit of scuffness on the battery, but it was a decent room clear, a good Viper fight. Overall, it was pretty good.
Definitely super good arc, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I'm definitely not already losing 50 seconds to my gold. Alright, so the arc is basically done at this point. There is nothing we can do to speed up this next sequence here. It's about a minute 55 from giving the killing blow to Viper to the level ending. So there's just a scripted sequence here where we got to get over to this little containment unit and pull the arc out of it in order to get it away from the IMC, because they're trying to take it to a giant weapon, the fold weapon, which can fold space and time and blow up planets. If it sounds like Star Wars, yes, you'd be correct. Anyway, this is a pretty good time to get in a few donations.
I just need a moment to recover from all the amazing tech happening in this fantastic run. I just want to remind everybody here about our amazing bid wars and donation incentives. We actually got a $50 donation from Laukid H. who put their donation towards the Resident Evil 3 Nemesis 90% costume choice for Regina, which brought that total up to $164. Still having a bit of a tough time there beating out the classic choice, but we're getting there. That incentive will be ending soon, so thank you all for your donations and getting us this far.
All right. So the ship has exploded in many ways, so now we're in a situation where the ship is going to go down. We cannot escape. So Protocol 3 comes into full effect for the Titan. BT is doing everything in its power to keep us alive. And now we are going to load on into the final stage here, the fold weapon.
I love that phrasing. The ship has exploded in many ways.
So, the fold weapon is one of my favorite parts to get to in the run because you might have heard me do it earlier with Kane and with Viper. I love to voice act, and this opening cutscene here is my absolute favorite to voice act in the entire game, so here we go. Lisk, your problems are not my concern. Once you have delivered the Ark as per your contract, your payment will be transferred by the IMC. Just have my money ready. I'll get you your precious cargo, you useless niff. Oi, Titan! You're gonna open up and give me what I want. Voice command, not recognized. Let me just rip it out of him. We can't risk it. The Ark's unstable. Listen, hero. You have what's mine, and I want it back. Go on. Tell your Titan to open up. But what? His feelings? Still trying to be a hero, eh? I have a lot of dosh running on this contract, my friend. So tell your Titan, if he doesn't open up, I will shoot you in the head. Pilot in jeopardy. Ocular systems marginal. Cannot visually acquire pilot. Stand him up. You see him now? Right here. Right here. Yeah? You see him now? Functions compromised by severe. I don't care how broken you are. I know deep down something's still working there. Now open up, or I'm going to shoot your pilot in the head. You still remember numbers, don't you? I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, that wasn't so hard, was it? Yeah, that's the problem with teams. If you don't win together, you die together. Alright, pay attention to Blisk here. He's gonna do his little flip on the right side, and then he just sucks himself into the vent, or into the grates, and it's just great.
That was really fun to listen to, Fluffy. Thank you for that.
Alright, so real quick, epilepsy warning. There is a bunch of flashing lights coming up here, so I would advise you to look away from the screen if you are sensitive to that. I will let you know when you can look back. One last little thing. Nice try, love. Say goodnight. Alright, the flashing lights are over now. You should be safe to look back. Alright, so that is the opening cutscene basically done with. There's one little bit of gameplay segment here that has a small optimization found by Flotza, I believe.
Yes.
So, normally you're just supposed to wait around until BT calls for you. However, if we stand up here and then back into the fire behind us, we can actually cause BT to call for us way earlier than intended. This saves about 5 seconds in total. So BT here is going to tell us that he can no longer uphold the mission, and once again, as part of Protocol 3, he's going to rip off his face and give us the Seer Kit, the Survive, Evade, Resist, Escape Kit. So he's going to pull it off, and boom, there it is. So inside of this Seer Kit, we're going to get 3 things. The first thing we are going to get on the right side here is the Smart Pistol. This is a literal aimbot pistol that they put in the multiplayer of the first and second game for some reason. Don't ask me why. That was never going to go over well. The second thing we're going to get is another data knife, our handy-dandy plot convenience knife. Just ignore the fact if you look at the bottom of the screen, Cooper has another one. We're just stacking up on them. And the third thing we're going to get is BT's data core. Now, this contains all of BT's AI, more or less, so as long as we can keep this intact, BT will not die. with that being said, I'm going to stab our handy-dandy Davenite into this thing here, hack the console, and Bri can take it away, tell the Titan.
Yeah, so this is pretty, this is a difficult segment similar to how BT was at the start of the game, where we only have one jump right here. Even with an auto-aiming pistol, navigating through here is very, very hard. There's a lot of pipes, which we talked about, are very rude, and there's a lot of grunts in the way as well. And also, there's a very large risk of death that can happen as well. And if we do die, we get sent back kind of before the sequence, but our jump kit, which allows us to double jump, never initializes, which would require us to restart the entire level and lose about 4 minutes. Though I guess we would get to listen to Fluffy do the voice acting again, which wouldn't be so bad. But anyway, so our first helmet isn't coming up just yet. We got a ways to go for it, but this first helmet is one of the more tricky and difficult in the game. It's positioned in such an awkward spot that there's no real way for us to get it with any sort of fluid motion. All the speed that we're going to be building through this segment here with the wall kicks is pretty much going to be for naught. I mean, aside, just to get us from point A to point B faster. It's sitting up on the upper left side of this room coming up here on the top of these kind of wires. We're just taking this right here to get us a bit more vertical height to get us up where we need to go. And you can see it if you look there, it's glowing blue, it's up there right now, and the getting up here, as you can already see, is just so annoying to try and navigate around these wires and around the pipes. And we're just going to take a little safety stride here, just to do a little bit of a corner climb just to get up on top. You can see, this is what I was talking about. This helmet is just so frustrating. Anyway, we finally got it. Now we're on to the Titan segment here. We got the replacement chassis for BT. We're going to install the data core, and we are on our way to helmet number 2.
All right. So, fun fact about this Titan chassis, although it fell into the ground at the start of the game, this is the Titan chassis we called in at the very beginning of the game in the simulation before the simulation shut down due to restricting power. So what we're going to do here is we're going to get behind BT and we're going to embark into him, which skips a lot of stuff that the game would normally want you to do. And then we're going to try and use the tone loadout here to build up some core as fast as we possibly can. So we're going to 1, 2, 3, lock on. 1, 2, 3, lock on. Do one more lock on with this guy, fire these out, and then we're going to swap to the Ronin loadout. And if we don't have enough, we can always throw an arc wave that'll hit one more of those guys, allowing us to get the Ronin core we need. And now it's just a straight shot coming up to a door. So this door used to be a big what
that was
the heck
cool.
was that?
That's weird, Geo.
So this door up here used to be a huge sour spot because there was an RNG chance that a Titan could back up into the door. This is just a ramp, by the way. I just needed to get the right angle for it. And open the door, but if not, you just like had to kill Titans for 3 minutes. But as it turns out, yeah, the top just doesn't exist. You can go right through it. So we just use the brute loadout to fly up there, and then we're gonna come over here and try a disembark jump to hopefully give us the height.
Nice,
yep,
that's really good. That saves a few seconds.
Yep. There is a backup strat that I can do that is a little bit slower, but the disembark jump is what you really want to see there. So this section is really dangerous, especially these specters here, because they're all carrying missile launchers, and if enough enemies there shoot you, you can and will die, and because of the way fold weapon checkpoints work, you can sometimes be sent back all the way to the start of the Titan sequence there, and it's really annoying. But we're coming up on the very last helmet in the entire run here. It's just right up here. So we're going to come up on here, get a wall jump on there. Hopefully we're going to get up and then pick up this last one here. And now we're going to get on this wall, jump on over to this one. Shout out to Bri for teaching me about this because I soft locked the level going too far to the right before on a PB pace run at one point. That wasn't fun. But now we're heading on into the final boss fight of the game against Sloan. Squirt strats away. About time they do something. Listen, a militia pilot's trying to be a hero. He's all yours. Keep the salvage. Who said anything about salvage? I'll do this one for free.
We do have all the helmets now, by the way. We have collected all the helmets. So this is... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so the strat I like to do here is I like to manip Sloan backwards there with that flame wall, and then use the flame shield here to get her down to the HP threshold where she flies away. So this tone dashed away, but it's fine. We can still end up getting all the core we need off of Sloan here. So we're going to drop a trap, drop the flame wall, and put the flame shield up for a little bit. Then we're going to swap to the Ronin loadout and shoot her twice to make sure that we have the core we need. So nice. Now we're going to activate Sword Core. 1, 2, 3, kill these Reapers. And killing those 3 Reapers is the trigger for the third phase of her fight to come back out. We're going to pick up that battery for safety. Gonna shoot her a little bit here once again, get as much damage as we can. Swap to Ronin loadout, and we did not get pre-charge, unfortunately, but that was still a very solid
really good
fight overall, and we have activated a glitch here called Andy Shot. So, a Reddit user by the name of Shot Andy at one point said, "Hey, I found a way to do this funny thing in this cutscene. Here's how I did it." And then Brian it was brought to Brian's attention on his stream, and then he realized, hey, wait a minute, the dialogue's actually progressing. This is going faster. So as a result of Shot Andy, we named this trick the Andy Shot. So as you can see, we have our gun out in this cutscene. This is not intended. And this leads to a very funny moment where we make Apex Legends non-canon. Because we just killed Blisk. So amazingly, this does not brick the game in any way. It does not soft lock, hard lock, crash, or anything like that. It just skips 33 seconds worth of dialogue. So the other thing I mentioned before is a thing called pre-charge. It is a pseudo RNG thing where you have to kind of go fast, but at the same time, even if you go as fast as physically possible, the PA system needs to say this line, fold weapon priming sequence at 97%. If you start pulling out the arc injector before the PA system says that, the lights inside of the arc injector will already be lit up. That is called pre-charge, and it saves 11 seconds. Unfortunately, I did get a little bit of bad RNG, and the line played before I started pulling out the arc injector. Regardless of that, though, the Sloan fight still went well, and most of the time it generally favors you. Sometimes it goes wrong. Unfortunately, it went wrong this time, but that is okay. We are coming up now to the final sequence of the game here, the escape sequence. So once we finish climbing into this... Once we finish climbing into the arc injector here, we'll get launched out of it after a short delay of these lights coming up, and then it will be about 30-ish seconds once I land until the end of the run. So, normally this is where I would hit V, the bottom dialogue, and then the game would shoot me out right now, but we have to wait for these lights to come up here. Would have been great to show off pre-charge, but due to how Barker skip happened, I just want to make sure we finish up the run here and not reset the fight to try and get it to show it off. With that being said, this is the most appropriate time to press F and chat for BT. Godspeed, you magnificent bastard. Alright. So now that we've landed, there's a few things we're going to do here. Time will be coming up at the end of this escape sequence, so we're going to get a wall run there, and then we're going to try and get a wall kick off of this, do some air strafing, double jump late in order to hit this trigger and still not hit the kill plane. So now we're going to stand and slide on that rock. We're scripted to slide on that rock no matter what, so if we stand there, we move faster than if we're crouching. Get a wall jump off of that. Another jump off of that. We want to try and clear over the top of this. We didn't quite do it, so we can take a backup of just jumping on the wall. That's no big deal. And time coming up very quickly here. We want to slide off of this. And as we start getting over this last little ledge, time.
GG, Fluffy. GG.
All right. Honestly, very solid run overall. There's
definitely a run you should be proud of. You nailed all the tough shit. Like, you did it. That was really, really good.
Yeah, it was up until the arc. I was only like 40 seconds behind my PB, and that was mostly from just like a little bit of slop here, a little bit of slop there, and then, you know, the third tri-kill room skip. But honestly, like, that was just a really solid run. I'm very happy with that. All right, so there's one last thing we need to do here, and this is, again, a thing you do for the leaderboard thing. We're going to quit to main menu, go to mission select, and we can see 1 out of 1, 2 out of 2, 6 out of 6, 9 out of 9, 8 out of 8, 11 out of 11, 3 out of 3, 3 out of 3, 3 out of 3. That is all 46 helmets in Titanfall 2 collected in just a little bit over an hour and a half. Not bad. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this Titanfall 2 speedrun. If you want to see more of this, you can join the Titanfall 2 speedrun community, follow our Twitch streams, follow twitch.tv/BrianAuto, twitch.tv/LordFluffy for me. Shout out to the Titanfall 2 speedrun community. You guys are great. I love you all. If you want to join the Discord, you can search us up at speedrun.com. We got a Discord link there, bunch of tutorials for you, and, you know, we got great resources, always willing to answer your questions if you have any. The best time to get into it is right now. The scene is popping off. With that being said, I'm not going to hold up any more of your time. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this run, and enjoy the rest of VSA. My name is LordFluffy, here with Brian Otto, and we'll see you again another time.
Friends in chat, can I get a hand from you and your best friend BT for that wonderful Titanfall 2 run by LordFluffy and the amazing commentary by Brian Otto? With that said, thank you all for having me here to read on stream today. Coming up in a few moments here is Resident Evil 3 Nemesis Any Percent by Mango Punch, so stay tuned.